We started out at Ikoyi Club, and our first audience was 5 people, including my mom. I wasn't discouraged because I was like, if these 4 people could come here today, that is progress. We're going to ride on it and make sure we convert that 4 to 10 to 20 to 40 to 100. And today we have reached over 3,000. No jokes here. Because if you can't learn to do the rudiments, how do you want to be Oga? You got to start climbing a tree from bottoms up. And if I look at society today, this is one of the biggest misses we're also seeing because people just want to become managers. They don't know that there's something like getting on the van, loading goods onto the van, getting to the shop, making sure you sell to 25 stores. I did that for 3 months. And guess what? I was selling in my hood. I lived in Surulere. So there was nowhere to put that shame. I lived in Surulere and I sold in Surulere. And I ran into a couple of my family friends at different
Right.
points in time,
And they'll be
but
like,
you know
ah,
what? I embodied it. I embodied it. I wasn't stealing. It was a boss. Yeah, it was okay. And today, looking back, everything I do on my business, the ability to, layer everything one after the other. When you need to unpack, the ability to unpack, and people don't just mumble things up and just give you one pack of untrue information was from those numbers. And I remember at the end of that selling experience, my accounting was on point. Nobody could say, oh, they took one thing. It didn't happen to me because I was very, very on point with my counting, with my reporting, with my payments. That was for me almost like a master's degree, that 3 months. And, going on to sales to run a big part of P&G's business, run it successfully, transition from a big distributor to an international distributor with zero business loss at the time. We were just coasting and learning and going, but it was really it was putting together the building blocks for what I was going to do in my future, even though I didn't know it then, which is, I think, the reason why whatever our hands find to do, we got to do it well. Because in doing it well, you're seeding your own. That's what it is. Because today, when I say to my staff, and I remember another organization I worked in, I learned there how not to run a business because it was just all over the place. But even that experience was profound because it just showed me there are two sides to every coin, to every business decision, to every information. There's perspectives. There's how people see this, how this set of people see that. There's how some people react to things. You've got to consider all of this when you're journeying as an entrepreneur. It's not about how you feel alone or what you think. It's not about profit alone. It's really about value creation. And how do you ensure that the value that you're proposing, that you're creating, is being perceived truly as value? Because that is the only time that the cycle is complete. You may think you're bringing value. If your audience don't see it as value, that business is gone. You don't have a business. When we were going to start, nobody was doing wellness at the time. I had to crack my head. How do I propose wellness as a solution? We started out at Ikoyi Club, and our first audience was 5 people, including my mom. I wasn't discouraged because I was like, if these 4 people could come here today, that is progress. We're going to ride on it and make sure we convert that 4 to 10 to 20 to 40 to 100. And today we have reached over 3,000. There's something about consistency. There's something about courage, courageous leadership. You're just going to have the courage, and you must find creative ways of selling the value that you're bringing to the table. It doesn't stop at you just thinking it's valuable. You must sell it, and people must receive it, see it, feel it, and perceive it as value. Yeah,
That reminds me of a key learning we got while doing our active selling days, right? Features tell,
absolutely.
benefits sell, right?
Absolutely.
Benefit sell. So I
Yeah,
totally agree with you. There is a quote, right? That comes up now and then when we run selling training or sales training for people, right? And it's a quote from one of the CEOs. I think it goes like, nothing happens yet. Nothing happens until someone sells something. Right? We all can be speaking English. We can be knocking the numbers to get. If somebody doesn't get sold, all of us are going to pack up our shop one day, and everybody will go back to their houses. So that's very helpful thought, right? So all the learnings that you've got, and then eventually you got into startup and all of that. Now, before get stepped into that entrepreneurship and starting your stuff, right? Now, you mentioned a number around, um the number of old people, right, that we have. You said 9 million. Okay. Now, and I know that that 9 million is all over the place, right? A lot of that can be sliced and diced into different segments, different audience, different needs, different depending on where they are geographically, demographically, and all of that, right? I guess what I'm trying to get to, Mimini, is how did you know, kind of settle on whatever your niche is and whatever your target audience is? Because if the need is so much, right? You will have to define how you want to play, right? Your where how to play, where to how to play, where to play choices. You have to make those choices, and I'm wondering if there is any thought you can share with us, right? And it doesn't have to be like super scientific, but some of these things at times can be common sense, right?
yeah, yeah.
How did you arrive at, okay, I want to focus on this and that and these other ones? Okay, maybe I'll leave it for some other guys to come and help with.
Okay, so the reality of it is, because I run a social enterprise.
Yeah.
I don't run a charity. I'm not an.
Mm.
I don't run an NGO. So it's a social
Okay.
enterprise, and I'm very quick to tell people I don't run an NGO. So it's it's a sustainable business model that I run.
It pays for itself, right?
It's yes,
That's a difference,
yes,
right? Okay. Mm.
yes. But at the start, it was important first and foremost to prove that concept that it could
Mm.
work. You remember I said nobody was playing in that space of wellness. How do you even sell wellness, elderly people? Most people, if you tell them, just give them food now, give them supplements, that's typically what it is, you know. And I said to myself that no, we have to do it differently. People must see value. And at the beginning, there was so many no's I got, because the truth is, even pricing was a challenge. How do I price wellness? Because if you were to sell a Ashwebi and you tell people it's 100,000, the society and our culture has groomed the mindset that, oh, Ashwebi, I would identify with them, I'll take pictures with them, I'll get a souvenir while going home. So that justifies the 100K. But if you want to sell wellness, just to leave my house and come and sit down, read book, have a cup of tea, you know. So that was the real work we had to do. And that's why we started with seniors timeout, because I figured the first thing to do was not to tell people to pay. The first thing to do was to give them a taster of what it is. Give it to them over a period of time. See how it settles. And the truth is, before we started the day center, it was request based. I always said to my husband that my business is going to be demand driven. because that's the only model that would keep you sustainably making profit. So when we started, it was once a month. And we started getting people who say, oh my God, my mom enjoyed herself. Oh, she's so happy. Can you increase the frequency of this activity? When we got that from the first person, second person, and it started becoming something that was coming up, we knew it was time to start the day center. That's how we started the day center. So over the years, it was just we would have an idea, seed the idea, just see how we say it, experiment. When people embrace it and start calling, oh, this, can we let's talk about it? You know, you've got something going. So we will start. So that everything we have launched, every activity program, it was demand driven. And thanks to the FMCG background I've got, because you must understand how to generate demand. You must be able to unlock it. Otherwise, you have no business. And even in generating demand, you must constantly think ahead of the curve. How do you keep it going? We're at an expansion phase in our business now, and we're doing that delicately too. Because the truth is, there are geriatrics everywhere. And these 9 million people we're talking about, they are domiciled in Lagos, Abuja, Kano, everywhere, every part of Nigeria, and by extension, Africa. How do we reach them? We're in the era of technology, AI is here. How are we going to leverage to reach more people? So those are the conversations we're having internally now to say how are we going to, because what we're doing is amazing. We get a lot of comments every day on social media. We have a lot of followers in the diaspora who are always amazed that you mean this is happening in Nigeria. It's unbelievable. When we see those comments, we just laugh. We're like, come on, people are thinking right here too. You know,
We are not savages. We are not savages.
not all of us are going to Japa because if we the 200 plus million of us are not going to leave Nigeria. Some
Are
of
you
us are going to
shading? Are
stay
you
back
shading me
home
right now? Are
and
you
make
throwing shades
things
at me
work.
right now?
Yes, I'm throwing shades.
Are you throwing shades at me right
So
now?
some of us are going to stay back, make things
Mm,
work so that you
absolutely.
guys can come back and invest here.
Mm, yeah.
So really, I think at the end of the day, it's just really to know what you're doing. You need to be super duper confident in your value proposition, in what you're selling. Like
Yeah.
I eat, breathe, and sleep full circle.
Mm,
I was telling someone some days ago that everything I have is in full circle right now, and I have zero regrets because I believe that we're onto something really, really great. Those of us that are in our 40s, we've just got another 20 years to become full circle clients.
mm-hmm.
So so we're building for that time.
You are
you
catching
know
them young.
yes, we're building for that time. And we
Yeah,
we have
absolutely.
to do it delicately, thinking outside of the box, understanding the trends, understanding how the world is evolving, understanding aging care practices, how that is also evolving. So that's really what we're doing at Full Circle. And we know we're onto something really great. And definitely, 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 there is a market for aging care. And we're here to take that market. We can't reach everyone. So definitely we need more full circles. We need people to invest in aging care in Africa, in Nigeria. Because all the people you're living back home, I give you an example. We get calls from people in diaspora a lot. My mom is back in Nigeria. Just today I was talking to a client. She's a doctor in the UK. Her mom is right here. She's left her mom to the care of some distant cousin. And I had to tell her, babe, your mom is not getting the best of care. You got to do something different about it. She's in the diaspora. She needs all the help. She needs a full circle. Okay, full circle, what can you do for me? How can you help me make sure she's eating well? There's so much to unpack here. And we can't even do everything. We can't. So we need collaborators, we need investors, we need people who can look into the future and see that there is really a market here and take position now. I think that's what we need to do. We're also collaborating with government because we know government is a big stakeholder. There's nothing we can do without government. So we continue to engage. we're in very close contact and conversation with the NSCC, National Senior Citizen Center. They have a lot of plans in place, and we are going to be working with them to make sure that these plans are not just documented on paper, but they actually brought to life. And we would support because from our practice we can tell some things maybe could be done this way, this could yield this could yield that. We're happy to provide all of our own experiences and information that is helpful to government as well. But we do need to collaborate with government, with private, with those in the diaspora. A lot of people will tell you, oh, aging care, senior citizens, there's no ROI. I smile. I take a deep breath and I'm like, I agree with you. ROI may be question mark, but the truth is it is the destination we're all headed, you know? So we're better off making sure we do something about it. And the generation of those coming may even be worse because I think you and I will still care about our parents. We'll probably call them once a week. But the people we're raising, so we need to take position now and make sure that we plan for our own aging, our own old age. There's so much to unlock there, and I really do call on people to pay attention to this segment. There's so much white space. There's so much to unlock. There are some of us that have gone ahead to really understudy the space. We understand the space. We are open to collaborations, to investors, and we can really make this big. Africa can actually teach the world how to do aging care so that we don't get to where Asia and Europe and America all are today.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. I mean, thanks a lot for sharing that. I will try and unpack it a little bit just to drive home the key point around, um, you know, uh, quantifying and identifying target audience, right? I guess the big thing you said about that is people should be willing to experiment, right? Crystallize what you want to do, but don't just take your own word for it. Try it out with people, right? And as you try it out, if there is demand for it, you begin to sense from the conversation. I really love the whole idea of the things that you're doing are value driven. They are demand driven, so to say. Yeah, they are demand driven, which means that y- I mean, maybe ROI may not be in the stratosphere, may not be up there, but you can place a fair value on it, right, and demand it because there is really a need for it. You're solving for something, and the people that really value it will be willing to pay for it. So that's super 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 helpful. Now you also mentioned something because I was going to double click into that conversation around collaboration, right? And I'm thankful that you mentioned the collaboration with government and all of that. The other side of that I want to look at is, to what extent do you collaborate today, right? I think it's and I think it's a kind of two in one question, to be honest. On one hand, to what extent do you collaborate with, say, people within the medical space? And I observed earlier that you are giving them their flowers, right, in terms of what they do, for the whole clinical practices around taking care of elderly and dementia and all of that, right? So you're giving them their flowers, but to what extent do you um, collaborate with them today from a demand creation standpoint? Do you get what I mean? Like, so I know that within the pharmacy space, right, there is what we call detailing, right? That I basically just go to hospitals or I think it's in the medical, yeah, detailing. We go to the hospital not to go and sell, but to basically show them, this thing. Is there anything like that you using to drive kind of demand creation on one hand, and then on the other hand is the whole thing around how are you creating awareness of this? I've seen stuff that you do, right? No question asked about the quality and all of that, but has it become like top of mind, like everywhere because it's a big deal, right? And I think that my mom just passed in December, right? And
Sorry about that.
right, so and I we she got a good level of care and all of that, but I know there are a lot of people who are probably having, one or two issues. How do we manage this? We can refer this, we can refer that. But I think that this may, there may be need to um do more, right? If not more is not already being done along that line. So what are your thoughts, and what are the things you're doing
Okay.
along that line? Two questions, right? It
Yeah.
looks like
So,
mouthful, but indulge
all
me.
right. Okay. Thank you for that. So, I'll first of all talk about how we're collaborating with those in the medical field, and then how are we driving awareness. So, there's no aging care without collaboration with the clinical experts. Let me put it that way. So, even on our team, we have doctors. So on the full circle team, we have doctors we work with, neurologists, we have experts because elderly, this elderly segment, they are the ones who need all the expert, the neurologists, the cardiologists, the endocrinologists, because different things go wrong at different points in time. So they need all of this care. So we do have where, in fact, I think I would almost say that every geriatrician in Nigeria is on my phone, like on my speed dial, like all the ones, and they're not many. In fact, I give a lot of kudos to these medical experts who chose to stay back. For me, I give them a lot. In fact, I doff my hat because it takes a lot. It's passion actually that gets them to stay. Because I can promise you, all of them have gotten offers to leave the country. Some of them have just chosen, we're going to stay here, make a difference. And every time we need to, because we have some teaching series that we do at Full Circle as well, where we just pick on different kind of ailments that are common in old age, and then we just try to demystify them. So we have that series called maybe demystifying incontinence, demystifying dementia. And how do we demystify if we don't get the subject matter experts, the doctors, to come and converse with our elderly population? And we found even from all of this series, the knowledge they're getting. Like I remember one of the seniors when we did the demystifying dementia. Like I told you, a lot of people don't understand it. She said she went back home, and one day I think her neighbor walked away and they were looking for the neighbor. So she was able to quickly tell them, oh, please, you need to take her inside. She observed that she had some of the traits she had learned at Full Circle, that, when people begin to ask repeated questions, look confused, you need to watch out. Something is wrong somewhere. You've got to get them tested and know how we start to manage. She said she was able to save her neighbor because she had noticed that, and she quickly called the attention and they got her neighbor back to safety. That's small. It's a drop in the ocean, but it's so important and relevant. Information is power. So we collaborate with doctors, first of all, to provide information. Because when you have information, you navigate better. You're empowered. So empowerment is so critical, it's key. We would provide from the social aspect of things, but the doctors would always provide from the clinical aspect of things. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were also released, and I'm also grateful to a lot of medical experts in the diaspora who have been reaching out as well. So a lot of Nigerians in the diaspora are very interested, and they're like, we love what you do. We want to collaborate. How do we? I was talking to a doctor, a family medicine practitioner in the UK the other day, and she was saying, "I'd like to come for one of your series, and I'm very interested in what's it called? Adverse drug reaction from I forgot what the term is, And I'm like, oh my god, you just touched on something that is so important to me, Kunle. If you take 10 out of 20 senior citizens, they are overdosing on supplements because somebody, oh my, because somebody in the UK, the doctor in the UK has sent one that is for eye, for ear. The one in the US sent the one that is for arthritis and for leg. So they have this stash, their stash of drugs. You'll be amazed. So sometimes when we get the geriatrician to go review them at home, the first thing they review is, Mama, 20 tablets per day. Ha, who did we offend? Ah, they said this one is ginkgo biloba. It's good for my eye. They said this one is good for my teeth. They said one doctor said here, one daughter said there, one son said there. and they are now taking everything. So that's a real problem here. And it's huge. We don't talk about it enough, but it's a concern. So I was so happy to go into that collaboration. We're trying to set up dates and ensure that we address it. In fact, I'm like, if it's possible, can we just turn it to a series whereby we just tell them, bring all your meds. Let's even look at it. Let's read. Because the truth is, for science, for the people who did the sciences, there's chemical reactions. There are some drugs you don't take together. There's some things that shouldn't go with. So who's checking all of that? All they just hear is, oh, they said this one is for my high blood pressure, this one is for my ears, for my nose, and they're consuming. So we need to look at that. And I'm grateful to all the medical experts who take their time, the pharmacists who take their time to maybe when the senior um, needs medication, they explain. Because some of us senior citizens, maybe they don't have the capacity to read through and maybe compare notes or Google. They just consume. But really, people need to compare. And this thing about supplements, there's so much. I think we need to be preaching healthy eating, gardening, eating from our gardens, just healthy activities, lifestyle management, as opposed to overloading supplements onto our systems. So those are places where we collaborate a lot with medical experts because you see, we can't do that on our own.
Hey, thanks a lot for taking the time to watch the podcast. We are super thankful for you taking that time and investing the time to learn. We hope that you find the story inspiring, and beyond that, that you've been able to articulate one or two things that you want to do differently in your own entrepreneurial journey. May I encourage you to please like, subscribe, comment, and please share the word within your own circle of influence, especially within those that you think are on the same entrepreneurial journey with you. May I also encourage you to please, beyond subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow us on our other social media platforms. That means a lot to us, and we can see that that helps us to track that we're making some progress and so making some impact. Thanks a lot once again for taking the time to watch, and please see you on the next episode.